You're on, V.
All right, sounds good. Leo, can just really quick, Dr. Phillips said he prepared a short PowerPoint slide. Is there any way that we can let him share that when it's his time to come
Definitely,
on?
for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Philip, you got your answer there. Great. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here today on this wet, rainy day out in December. It's getting close to Christmas time and the holidays, yet it's still gray. But thank you for being here and being in a virtual community. And that is what we are trying to create today, a community. And like I mentioned, we won't have time to go around the room to share, introduce ourselves because there's not enough time and too many people. But if you can put your name, your affiliation, your pronouns, and what's your favorite holiday tradition, any holiday, into the chat. That's how we'll be able to get to know each other a little bit more. So I see Gilbert is coming in here as well. Hi, Gilbert. All right, for those who just came in, please put your name, affiliation, organization into the chat so we get to know each other. Okay, and this meeting will be recorded for note-taking purposes as well as promotional purposes as well. We are trying to compile a report at the end of this or after this meeting, and we have a lot of content that a lot of people have worked really hard on. An hour and a half is not that much time, so we're going to ask the guests here if you could stay on another 5 to 10 minutes after this meeting. We would really appreciate it because folks work really hard in this material. Great. Now I'm going to transition us into some sort of tone setting and setting the stage for the rest of this meeting. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vivo, and I'm the founder and director of the Contra Costa Asian American Pacific Islander Advocacy Coalition, fiscally sponsored by Able Community Development Foundation. I started this coalition when it was still a work group, a COVID work group with CCHS's Historically Marginalized Communities Engagement Unit. And back when we first started in those very beginning days, we didn't have very much. It was me and a couple of people, no money, no funding, scouring the community for donations of PPE, hand sanitizer, masks, and at that time it was still hard to find those items. Stuffing COVID care kits in my bedroom and distributing them out into the community with our grassroots networks. And I don't think people at that time, including myself, knew where this work was going to go. But many of the people here in this room today gave me that bright-eyed 25, 26-year-old that nobody knew a chance. And here we are today. And where we are today is that we are the first, Contra Costa's first, truly cross-sector, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multidisciplinary AAPI, Pan-AAPI Advocacy Coalition in Contra Costa's recent history. And that's something I'm very proud of, and I mention it everywhere I go. And today, on December 10th, 2020, we're here because through a grant from the Regional Health Foundation that allowed us to bring together 25 community health advocates of Chinese heritage who spent the last 6 months going through workshops and trainings in order to hone their skills to be advocates, health advocates in their community. Using mental health as a topic of focus to create this new vision for our community. Yeah, everyone here is here today because we know that we need everyone at the table to in order to make this vision a reality. So that's why you're here today, because we want to include you in this new reimagining what life will be like for API folks in this county. And before we move on to the rest of the meeting, I want to highlight some very important themes. So there are 3 overarching themes. You'll hear a bunch of different sort of ideas and concepts, but there are 3 overarching themes that are really important that I want you to keep in mind as we go throughout this presentation. So the first one is lack of presence does not mean lack of need. This is how it goes. Our community, the API community, is invisibilized and ignored by systems because of the model minority myth, which promotes us as being unimpacted, unneeding, undeserving of support, outreach, resources, right? And because we don't have those support resources and outreach, we as community members have to take it on ourselves to using our own wealth, health, and effort to stabilize our community. Because if we don't, no one will. This puts an excess burden on our community members who are not always paid professionals. But we do it because we have to. There would be no one else to if we didn't. But then the interesting thing is that becomes then used against us, and it becomes a reason to continue denying us of resources and supports, because it's like, oh, they got this, they're fine, and reality is we're not fine. I will tell you personally that the first year that I started this coalition, I worked at least 60 hours a week, to balance everything that I had, this coalition and other campaigns I worked in. I worked so hard. I neglected myself so much that by the time the year was over, I came out with a diagnosis of pre-diabetes that I was given 3 months to reverse, or else I would develop a chronic condition. And I was able to reverse that within the last couple of months, but it was very scary. It was definitely very scary. I literally sacrificed my blood for this community and this work. And I know, I think my case is a bit of an extreme example, but I know that that same dedication is there in the staff here and the folks that we work with in our coalition and our network. So yeah, that's the first thing. And the second theme that you'll hear is the theme of movement. Right. It's been a dirty secret for some time that the resources for the API community are so scarce here in Contra Costa that many of us have to travel to surrounding communities to find those resources and supports. This not only puts a burden on the CBOs in surrounding counties, it is just, it makes no sense because we live here, we work here, we pay taxes here. Our tax dollars goes to contribute to every pot of funding out there, yet we don't see the same allocation to our community. We don't get that same return. And this makes us feel like we're not truly a part and truly included in this community. Our money might be, but we as people are not. And the last one is very simple yet very profound, and that is we are human. Contrary to the stereotypes that you see in the media that would portray API folks as emotionless robots that are all just about studying and academics and working and whatnot. I mean, although that could be true, that's not the entire story, right? We are human. We feel pain. We suffer. We love our families. We suffer because we love our families. We hurt when we're left out. And it sounds so strange to be asking people to really honor, and acknowledge our humanity, but that's where we are today. That's where we are because of, anti-Asian, hate and xenophobia and whatnot. But, I think it's moments like this that give me hope that we are able to break those stereotypes and really show the world how truly diverse the API experience really is. We have everything. So you have those people who will fit those stereotypes and you have those people who break those stereotypes. So just keep these themes in mind as you go forward. I'd like to also point out that the 3 community advocates that you will be hearing from today deserve a special round of applause, because this does not happen very often. These topics are still very taboo in our communities, and it is really a privilege to be able to listen to these brave individuals share the way that they will be. I'd also like to point out that this meeting is quite special. In this room right now, we have many people, many different backgrounds and disciplines. We have community members of different API heritage. We have nonprofit leaders. We have county leadership. We have philanthropy. This gathering is not something that happens very often. I don't think folks here would have the opportunity to really meet with each other in this setting, in our normal everyday lives. So we should definitely make the best of it, And ultimately, the goal is to form and strengthen this partnership of all the folks here to build a more inclusive Contra Costa. And, we are prepared as the coalition. We are prepared to partner and collaborate to change systems. And we understand that authentic collaboration and change can take some time. And we understand that. But at the same time, we are here today because of urgency. because the issues that we're about to go over can no longer be ignored, and intervention is necessary. Regardless of all of that, we are prepared to go through the long process, however long that process will be, to accomplish our goals and to actualize this vision. And we are asking folks here to be in partnership with us through this process. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Gigi and Sari to give us a few words before we move on to our next session, which is the goals for today. So I'm going to start with Gigi. Gigi, can you give us a couple of words?
Yeah, I will. I am the executive director for NAMI Contra Costa. And when I started here in Contra Costa County, I was shocked actually to find the lack of resources specific to the Asian American Pacific Islander community coming from Alameda County. I would just assume that I'd be able to make referrals when a person needed clinical supports. We at NAMI offer non-clinical supports. It's been, for me, amazing what our AAPI team has been able to accomplish, but they're carrying a much larger, and I'm going to say burden, than they should, because they're working well beyond the hours that they should be. I so deeply appreciate Shelley, Tiffany, Leo, Yvonne, and all the volunteers that we've been able to hire to hold up this community. But I also recognize that when you are ready to offer a basics class, which is our training for families who have young people struggling, that when it fills up and you have 40 slots fill up for a 20 course class in just less than a week, that the need is great, especially after COVID. When I talked to the crisis counselor in Walnut Creek, and he said the bulk of his calls are coming from the San Ramon area, from AAPI families who have young students that are struggling, that we can do more in this county. So I was really pleased when the thought that maybe NAMI Contra Costa County could support the effort. And I said, yeah, we'll loan out the staff to you to make sure this happens, to make sure that everyone understands that you can't determine a mental health challenge based on zip code. It's universal. All communities have individuals who live with mental illness, and a person who has a person who's non-English speaking and from AAPI community should not have access to some of our specialized programs like AOT and behavioral health court, because the language barriers are there. We have to do more, and we can in this county. So I'm happy to support the effort, and happy to see that we have some decision makers who can make some great decisions. Thanks for being here, Supervisor Anderson. You've always shown your concern for all of your constituents, and we have a large number of Asian Americans in yours. And Matthew Liu, as our Deputy Director, it's great to have you here, as well as representation from Supervisor Julia's office. Thank you. And I see you too, Jennifer. Okay.
Thank you, Gigi. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Sari to give a couple words. Sari?
Thank you, Vi. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sari Tapapon. I'm the president of the ABO Community Development Foundation. We have the office in West County. I've been in the county since 1979, so I've been around for a long time. And one of the reasons that I get involved with this project is because my family is the mental health consumer. And our son, who developed the mental health, like he had a schizophrenia disease. He developed the problem when he was 15, and now he's 43. So all this year, my family had been dealing with him off and on. Everything, it's we have to spend time looking for him when he get lost or he can disappear. So I just want to say, because we don't have enough time, so I'm here to support, and I agree with I agree with Gigi. So and whatever I can do, I can use my experience to share with what we plan to do in the future, because like I said, I deal with the issue in the past 30 some years with my son. So I'm glad to be a part of this, and I'm glad to see this group coming together and do something about it. And the other thing I want to say is that as a county in Contra Costa County, there's about 16-17% of the county population are Asian Pacific Islander. So we need to we need to help those who need help. So I'm here to advocate for those who face a similar problem with my family. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suri. And just to mention, Suri's organization is the fiscal sponsor for the API Advocacy Coalition. And so I just want to mention that I and Suri are Southeast Asian refugees specifically. And I want to mention that this program is specifically created for the Chinese community and to talk about the Chinese community's experience. But Suri and I are here today to be of ally and supports to the Chinese community, even though we ourselves are not Chinese, because we realize that topics like this and issues like this are shared across all of our communities. So that's why we're here today. Definitely wanted to mention that. Okay, so now I think we can go back to the PowerPoint, right, Leo? Great. Okay, so we're going to talk about goals for today. So these are the things that we're hoping to accomplish throughout this meeting. Oh, looks like it crashed. There it is. Okay, all right. So first, we're going to talk about data reporting. Our coordinating team, has done a great job of collecting a large sample size of data, and we're going to share that finding today. We're going to listen to, and this is probably the most important thing, is we're going to listen to the personal testimonies and experiences of 3 of our community health advocates. So definitely going to be a highlight of our show. We are going to have dialogue. The idea is for us to be at the end to have a cross-sector dialogue as a community about next steps, how we feel about these issues and what can we do. And at the end, hopefully, the immediate next steps that we're hoping to take is to just form and to solidify and strengthen our cross-sector partnerships, and working relationships and moving forward with the tangible next steps in order to make these recommendations and this vision a reality. So that's gonna be goals. Next slide, please. So some housekeeping and community agreements. I'm probably not the best example of this, but let's try to speak as slow as we can, because we have folks of different language levels, and we want to make this inclusive for everyone. The next one is my favorite, and it's called Be a Bagel, Not a Croissant. And this is something that I used to work with youth, and one of my youth taught me this. It means to be open like a bagel, not closed up like a croissant. So definitely keep your mind open to different experiences and stories. And speaking of experiences, we want to definitely just highlight that all of our stories are valid. Every experience that we have, it's valid, right? But today we're here to focus on some particular story. So that's going to be the highlight for today. And last is, stay in touch. We definitely, you will hear from me. You will all hear from me about follow-up steps and whatnot. So those are what, we're going to hope to sort of work by today. So next slide.